Alright guys, we're back with another weekly update, and all I can say right now is that January is off to an unbelievable start. But as always, let's get into what I'm reading. I'll start with my bedtime read like I normally do, which has been Starsight. It has been Starsight for a while, right? We've been going through this very slowly, but I am enjoying it. I'm almost done, right? You can see almost done. I think I have like 50 pages left or so. So we're kind of like right there at the climax. And this has been really fun. I'm looking forward to seeing how it wraps up, and I'm still on the fence. I might finish this week. I probably will, and I'm kind of on the fence on if I want to just jump straight into book 3 or if I want to shift and do something a little bit different and take a quick break. But I don't know. We'll see. But I've been really enjoying this. A lot of the themes I've talked about in these weekly updates the last couple times have still been there. We're seeing how those have shaped up even more. We have some realizations about some other characters that were sort of side characters-ish in book 1, and it feels kind of weird saying that, but if you've read the book, you know what I mean. Some realizations about those that have been very interesting, and they were a bit unexpected here as we got into this one, and it's been quite different from book 1, but also similar in some ways, and we're seeing things really expand out. The scope is getting bigger, the conflict is getting bigger. I like that a lot. It's been fun. So Starsight, should be able to finish it this week. We shall see. I've been working through Return to Edan. I think I am almost halfway done now, and I've been really enjoying that. I said last week, like, this is darker than the first 2 books, and that has continued. It has been such a action-packed book as well. Like, it seems like almost every chapter there's some sort of battle that's happening, whereas the first 2 there was much more there was a lot of space. There was battles for sure, right? But there was a lot of space there where we were getting those quieter character moments, and we still have those. Like, don't get me wrong, we still have those here in book 3, but it's rightfully so. We're seeing the aftermath of the end of book 2, and we're seeing sort of the continuation of the war, and we're seeing in the conflicts and just seeing how these different factions are sort of, just doing what they're doing. So it makes sense if you read the book, right? It makes sense that there's going to be more battles going on. There's been a really interesting thing happening with a character from book 1 that I don't believe we saw at all in book 2, who was brought back in, and we saw them in a completely different light, which was really interesting. And then some crazy stuff happened there, and that yet again was just another example of me being like, wow, like this is dark, right? So I'm excited to see where that goes, and the stuff that's going on with Dayraven and his current mental state following book 2 is very, very interesting, and I really like how Philip is sort of exploring this thing that, it kind of reminds me a little bit of the Wheel of Time, and how, not to spoil anything in the Wheel of Time, but there is a journey of a important character that it is very much a psychological, emotional, just wrestling back and forth a lot right through this series, and we're kind of starting to see that a bit here with Dayraven, and it's really cool. I like it a lot. So really enjoying where Return to Edan is headed. Like I said, I'm almost halfway done there, and then other than that, I jumped into 2 buddy reads actually, which I normally don't do this. I normally don't have 2 books going at the same time outside of like my compartmentalized little bedtime thing, cardio thing, and then sort of my main reading. I normally just do 1 book for the main reading, but this time it's a little different, and I'll explain why. So one of them is, well, let me start with the big main one, right? Wars of Light and Shadow, book 1, Curse of the Mist Wraith by Janie Wirtz. This is unbelievable, guys. It's unbelievable. So I towards the end of last year, I read The Gallant, the prequel novella for this. Then I read To Ride Hell's Chasm, standalone novel. Both were just fantastic, absolutely fantastic. And so I was really excited. I had very high expectations for this, and I was expecting to come in and have that very characteristic prose style from Janie. I was expecting really deep characters and world building, and I was expecting it to be very slow burn because it is a massive 11-book sprawling epic, right? And all of those things were true, but still, it is slowly paced, but it's so densely packed with information. Not in a bad way at all, right? It's like The Gallant, to where it flows seamlessly, and you don't really have to sit there and study it a whole lot, but you're just getting so much information about the world, about the magic, about the characters and their backstories and their motivations, like everything. It's just beautiful, man. I think what am I, 8 chapters in now, I think? Yeah, 8 chapters in. So the reason that I'm doing it in this way with having a second book at the same time is Janie herself recommended to me that I basically read 1 chapter a day. And the chapters, typically, you're looking at 25, 30 pages for a chapter, something like that, which I know doesn't sound like a ton, but it's going to take you a while, right? Like it's been taking me, 45 minutes to an hour to read 1 chapter in this book. Like it's pretty dense, and I'm moving very slow. I'm very deliberately reading it slowly to really absorb it. I'm actually taking a couple notes because I'm part of the big Wars of Light and Shadow read-along group hosted by John over at Talking Story with a bunch of other awesome booktubers, and I'm so excited to be in those discussions. So to really make sure that I'm as prepared as possible, I'm really taking my time, really absorbing, really thinking everything through. I'm taking a few notes here and there, and so that slows me down a little bit. But nonetheless, like you're not gonna fly through this book, and you're not supposed to. That's part of the point, also, right? They were written to be read slowly and digested. So I would certainly recommend that, because so far my experience of basically doing 1 chapter a day has been awesome, and I think it's really helping with the pacing of the story as well. But I still wanted to read a little bit more on some of these days, right? If there's like a shorter chapter or whatever. So I picked this up and have been doing, like, if it's a shorter chapter of Mistwraith, I'll do like a chapter of this, right? This is Eluthian by Sam Middleton. This is the buddy read between myself, Chance Dillon, Chris from the Bearded Book Beast, and Alex from Miss Candaria with our reading group, our little booktube book club called The Red Company. This is our read for that this month. So this is, wow, man. I'm going to be honest, this was maybe not the best choice to read alongside Curse of the Mistwraith, because this is also very dense. It's pretty short, right? Like it's like a 350 page book, something like that. The text is pretty large. It's not something that, is something that's going to take you a really long time to get through, but the information in here is there's a lot, right? You're really thrown into the deep end, which I enjoy, right? In which, let's be honest, is pretty normal for, fantasy books, but it's just the terminology there's so much of it. A lot of the words are kind of long, and like a lot of the made up fantasy words, they're long, and they're not clunky, but difficult to pronounce right off the bat. There's some words that are very, very similar. Like there's the Formarians and the Fromrir, from something, like very similar words that you got to be really cautious when you're reading. So I've noticed that the density of that information has made it a little bit difficult. I was kind of hoping this would be simpler to read alongside. So I think in the future, with the rest of the Wars of Light and Shadow books, I think I'm going to have something that I know is going to be super, super simple to kind of read alongside of it. But for now, this is working fine. But in the future, I'll make my life just a little bit easier by doing that. But I am really enjoying this, right? I think that the prose itself obviously is very different from Janie Wirtz. So I think that my perception of it maybe suffers a little bit just from the inevitable comparison, but I'm trying to really separate them, compartmentalize. But the prose isn't bad by any means. I think it's super solid. It just isn't, Janie Wirtz is literally the prose master, right? But the story so far is awesome. We have a mystery going on. We have this fantasy sci-fi mashup that is... it's sort of, so far, and I'm like a third of the way through, right? So far, we have like this one character who seems to be a little bit more sci-fi-ish going on with that story, with some fantasy elements, and then the other main POV that we're following seems to kind of be the opposite. It's a lot of fantasy stuff with a little bit of sci-fi in there, which is kind of interesting. The world itself seems like it's, it very much has both things going on, and it has like your very traditional fantasy stuff like dwarves and gnomes and goblins and that sort of thing, elves. I'm getting sort of a Witcher vibe to some of it. which I'll be honest, I'm not crazy about, but just because I wasn't a huge fan of the Witcher books and sort of the style. But other than that, right, I'm really enjoying the story. We have some vampire stuff going on, which is really interesting, and I like that. The characters are interesting, just everything, right? So I'm bought into this. I'm enjoying it so far. I'll leave it there because we're going to talk about that a lot more as we get into our group discussion for the book with the Red Company. So I'll leave that there. And those are sort of my reading plans for this week, right? Like, I might finish Starsight, like I said. I don't know. If I do, it'll be close. I'll keep working through Return to Eden. I'll keep working through both of these books. Those will take me through this next week for sure. But I'm excited, man. We got some cool stuff, a little bit of variety going on right now, and it's fun. It's fun. Watching stuff. This is going to be very brief because I'm going to have a full video about this here soon. That this is sort of the handoff time of the seasonal anime that are airing. So I've been starting a handful of shows that are starting right now, and enjoying some of them a lot. Some of them I'm like, let me kind of see where this goes, and then I'll decide. And some stuff I'm just like, I don't know if this is for me, right? So I'm in that process now. So maybe next week or the week after, probably I'll do a video where I kind of describe those things in a bit more detail and what I'm watching and that sort of thing, in case anyone is interested on the anime front. But that's kind of what we're doing with that stuff. Other hobby stuff hasn't been much. It's been a little bit slower on the D&D and all that kind of stuff. That's okay. I did game a little bit last night. I got through some of my work for my some early, we'll say, preliminary data analysis stuff for my dissertation project. So I got through a good chunk of that, and I was like, okay, I'm happy with where I'm at. I got a half an hour till my girlfriend gets home from work. Let me fire up Elden Ring, right? So I brought up Elden Ring. I played for a little bit. I didn't get very far, obviously, with 30, 40 minutes of game time. You're not going to do much there, but it was really fun just to even be looking at. I mean, the graphics are just so, like, I just like how it looks. I like how it sounds. I like everything about it so far, right? So I'm hoping to play more this week. That's my goal. I really want to just, even if it's just like an hour once a week or something, I would love to just be able to make that time. But yeah, that was fun. I did get a little bit of book mail. Let's get into that. So this first one, we got some extra goodies, right? So here's the book itself. This is called Scion by E.M. Peck, Evan Peck. Awesome dude. I talked to him on Instagram, here and there, and I actually read one of his short stories not that long ago that was really interesting, and it made me extremely uncomfortable. I'll just say that, which is a good thing, right? Being sort of a realistic kind of horror story, more or less set in the real world. There's a little bit of supernatural stuff going on, but the point of it was to make me uncomfortable, and it certainly did, right? So good job, dude. But this will be cool, right? A nice little sci-fi story here that I don't know a ton about this, but So Kali Dao has just turned 20 years old, and when you turn 20 in the city of Kairos, everything changes. Like all citizens of Kairos, Kali is expected to undergo the fusion event, the merging of her consciousness with the Scion operating system. When she's mysteriously barred from participating in the fusion, Kali is rejected by society and treated as an outcast. Searching for answers, she enlists the help of a young Scion engineer named Ashir Kamin. Ashir is smart, confident, and intimately familiar with Scion's source code. Together, Kali and Ashir work to expose the secrets of Scion and its enigmatic creator, Abraham. But Kali soon realizes that Abraham's plans for Scion are far more sinister than she ever imagined. The truth that she uncovers could cost her everything that she loves, and it may even make her question the very nature of reality itself. That sounds cool, right? So we got sort of like a mystery, maybe rebellion kind of thing going on, sci-fi. That sounds really cool. From what he has told me, this is pretty fast-paced, kind of some thriller vibes in there. It's not a super long story, right? 200-something pages. So it's probably something that you can, really punch your way through pretty quick. And it's always nice to support the homies and people that you meet online and that sort of thing. So thank you, Evan, for sending me this. This is awesome, super nice of you, and even more generous that you sent over some extra goodies. So I just wanted to kind of show these off, right? We got some really cool art prints with the cover, obviously, right? Hopefully these are focusing on the camera, right? We got that one. We got this, which I believe this is the cover of the hardcover edition. The cover art for the hardback, I should say. That's a little bit more clearly described. And then we also got This is the city that it takes place in. So again, I hope that those focused on the camera. If not, that would be kind of an awkward little moment there. I got this really cool like Shiva bookmark that I'm like, well, how does that fit into the story? That's cool, right? So I don't know. We'll see if that shows up on camera. And then likewise, I can put this down here in front of me. A 3D, how does this sit in here? Like this, I think. Look at that. How cool is that? Right? It's awesome. So, yeah, man, that's shout out to Mr. E.M. Peck. Go check out his book if you're interested. And then I also got this in the mail, the special edition, the Kickstarter edition of Gunmetal Gods. This is by Zamil Akhtar, by the way. This is such a beautiful book. And the price point on these is unreal, right? When he launched the Kickstarter for book 2, and I saw that you could get book 2 and book 1 for like the bundle price, and just the cost per book for what you're getting here is unbelievably great, right? The obviously awesome cover. It's got like some holographic stuff going on, very intricate sprayed edges. How cool is that? You got the back, right? Again, more kind of holographic stuff. We have the interior art. We got this crazy like embossed foiled naked hardcover. We got, you know what I mean? Like, come on, dude. And there's so much cool, like, I don't know a ton about this story, but I know that there is a lot of stuff going on with, like, gods and angels and different, like, Lovecraftian, horror monsters, stuff like that. So that just, it's so cool. And there's art, like, throughout the pages, right? There's a bunch of interior art, I think. There's color and black and white illustrations. The chapter headers are gorgeous. Like, there's just, I'm trying to find a chapter header to show you. Yeah, like colored illustrations of the chapter headers. Like this is crazy, right? So the quality of this is just absolutely beautiful. I can't wait to read this series. I don't know when I'm going to be able to make the time, but this is one. It's been on my radar for some time, and I want to say he's working on maybe the last book now. So maybe that would be a good, once it's done, maybe that's a good time to kind of run through them and read the whole series kind of back to back to back like that. That could be cool. So that's my book mail for the week. I guess some last minute stuff to wrap up here. We did get to do some cool live streams here this past week. I did my live stream on Wednesday with the Tutor Ramble guys, Austin Richard. They're awesome guys. They're so friendly and so outgoing that like they were like interviewing me on my channel. I was like, this is crazy. And I kept wanting to guide the conversation myself. It's like, this is my, like these guys are my guests. I want to kind of do that. But they were just, they're so cool. They're so easy to talk to that the conversation just kept flowing, and they kept, they're just such great dudes. So shout out to them. That was such a fun conversation. And then on yesterday, actually, well, this will come out on Monday, so I guess 2 days ago, Saturday, we did our big Wind and Truth spoiler discussion. That was myself, Alex from Iskandaria, Vera, Tom Orange, and Brian from Belltube. Super fun. I think it was a nice spectrum of opinions that we got. Like, all of us were, more positive than negative on the book, but some of us were kind of dead center, and some of us were a little bit more on the positive side. And I was trying to get a variety of voices on there, and I did invite a handful more people who I think had even more criticisms that just couldn't make the call, which is okay. I mean, people are busy. That's how it goes. But I think we still did a good job of being pretty objective and being pretty fair to a lot of the critiques that we have heard brought up. And some of them we very much agree with, and some of them we maybe brought up some counterpoints. And it was just really fun to talk about this incredibly divisive book that just everybody has been so focused on here lately, right? So it was really fun to be able to just get in there and discuss it, and even better to do so with friends, right? That's always a good time. And I guess one live stream that I can announce here now is that next Saturday the 18th, wrote it down because I know I was going to forget. Saturday the 18th, 1 p.m. Eastern time, because he is on the other side of the ocean, Mr. Will McLaughlin is going to be joining me for an episode of NLR Together. If you have been watching the channel, you might remember him. He was our DM for the Booktubers D&D stream that we did. He's the man. He's writing a fantasy book. He we have a lot of similar taste in stories, and he's just a really cool dude that became friends with over the last, I don't even know, however long. It's like one of those that, like, is it 3 weeks or is it 3 years? I don't even know, right? It kind of feels like the same. It feels like both at the same time. I don't know, but really cool dude. I'm excited to talk to him and, help kind of share his story with all of you guys as well, and hopefully get to shine a little bit more light on his work and what he's doing. And, it's always a good time. So that's about all I got. I think that, like quick writing update, because I'm trying to be consistent with this. That's another one of my big goals that I talked about in a recent video for this year, is to have a nice consistent writing practice. I did start writing a short story. So this is kind of different. I've been trying to work on this novel, and when I was on the Bearded Book Beast channel, he kind of somewhat jokingly threw out like, hey, we should do like a booktubers short story anthology thing. And we were just like, oh yeah, that's funny. Wait, we should do that, right? Like we should actually do that. And so who knows if it'll actually happen, right? But we're kind of serious about it. And we kind of like, okay, like we should make this happen. And so I was just excited about it and just thinking about it. And I was like, what would I do? What short story would I do? And so I came up with an idea and outlined it. And I have like 1,000 some words on it now. And so that's been really fun. Very different from what the novel idea was, which is really cool because I have a bunch of ideas and I just want to be able to play with them, So that's been fun. I'm going to try to be more consistent with that here as we continue moving forward. This week, I think I should have some time because we're kind of still in the early stages of the university semester before the 20th, when data collection starts back up in full force, and I'll lose a little bit of time there. But such is life. What are you going to do? But that's what I got. That was my week. Talk to me in the comments. How was your week? What are you reading? What are you watching? What are you up to? What's going on? What are you excited about for the upcoming week? If you like the video, hit that thumbs up, like button. That always helps. If you have not, seen much of the channel and you like what I'm doing here, hang out with me, man. Stick around. Maybe hit that subscribe button. That's always nice. And it's always the Tutor Ramble guys got me up over 2K, which is pretty cool. If you watch the stream, you'll see this. You'll see us joking around about that. But yeah, it's crazy to be over 2,000 already. I can't believe it. And so I'm like, all right, well, let's inch our way towards 3, right? Why not? Let's see that number go up. It's always fun. But more than that, like I always say, biggest thing is just talking to you guys, having a good time, forming relationships, making friendships, talking about all this cool stuff that we like. It's so fun, man. It's so fun. So with that said, please have an awesome week, and I'll talk to you soon.